Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're here with comic Defne Gencler. Defne Gencler, how the hell are you?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for coming on during quarantine. I guess you got into Manhattan today.
Yeah.
Is that the
Thank you for
first?
having me.
Oh yeah, is that the first time in a while you've been to Manhattan?
I'm actually not in Manhattan, you
Oh,
know?
okay.
Yeah, I'm in Amsterdam.
Oh, dude, I totally confused that. What the fuck are you doing in Amsterdam? Amsterdam. That's amazing.
Well, Manhattan was New Amsterdam, so technically you're right, I think.
So you're just vacationing out there.
Yeah, exactly. I like to visit the old country.
Now you're not from there though. Are you from Europe generally?
Um, I'm I was born in Holland, right outside Amsterdam,
Oh.
in this small town called Amstelveen.
And that's where Amstel Light is made?
Exactly.
Is
In
it
the
really?
river.
Is it really? Do they make Amstel beer there?
I'm pretty sure they do. It's named
Okay.
after the Amstel River. So,
Wow. And so you're visiting pretty close to there.
yeah, my sister lives in the city. My mom lives right outside. So I'm staying with my mom, but I am trying to figure out if I want to stay here for the long term or go back to New York. Yeah.
Wow. I'm so glad to have an international guest.
Your podcast is worldwide, okay?
It is
New
so
and
funny.
old Amsterdam. Those are the terrains.
Okay, so if I get some listeners there, I'll know it's your family. I'll know it's the Genschler family.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so funny to see some of these stats broken down. I'm just like, I know nobody in Modesto, California, and yet it's a hotbed of Copping with Comic listeners. You have no idea if
Wow.
they're listening, like, is it 80 people listening or is it one person listening to 8 episodes? But yeah, what can you promote? I mean, like, are you doing online comedy regardless of whether or not you stay? I know you're going to stay, working as a comedian. So kind of what are you doing right now to stay, I don't know, on the comedy scene?
So I have been making some videos, and that's actually been really interesting because, I've been doing stand up for almost 4 years, and I've just been making videos for 3 months, and I've already gotten more followers from making videos in those 3 months
Uh, does
than
that make
doing
you
stand up.
does that make you rethink the whole thing? Is this going to be the time when you pivot towards kind of online comedy?
I honestly might. I love writing and I love making videos, so I might just keep going with that. But I also love writing jokes, so that's never going to go away. And I'm now being that annoying comic who posts tweets on their Instagram. Um,
So that some of the video followers on Instagram will be like, oh shit, I should also follow her on Twitter because she's funny on Twitter.
yes, and it
Uh,
works. It's crazy. Once you
yeah.
get over the shame and embarrassment, which you should feel, it's fine.
I think Jen Lapp was like, oh yeah, it's kind of she got some followers that way too, and she was like, but then you start getting the accounts that steal your shit.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of these people, like, we've had on Marie Dakotas and Matt Buchel and Kimberly
Hmm.
Denaro, and they do a lot of those front-facing videos that are pretty popular. They get
I
shared quite a
know.
bit.
Yeah. I
And so,
mean, Maria has blown up.
I mean, yeah, I just couldn't even believe it. I was like, how the fuck? She's a good impersonator, but I think it's lip syncing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
initially I
awesome.
was like, how the fuck are these things so like? How was she able to impersonate this? And then I fired up one of the videos and I was like, oh, it's lip syncing. That is just novel as heck.
Hmm.
And so, kind of, what are some of the things you're doing as far as are you doing characters? Are you doing just kind of front facing comedies that a snippet of your life that's hilarious?
I pretend to be this like YouTube influencer and just give
Yes.
people tips, but they're really dumb. So,
And
yeah,
what is
that's
one
my
of it?
that's my niche, my niche.
Yeah, you could pass
Dumb.
for an Instagram. Yeah, you could pass for an influencer. I love that. And so people will be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe Daphne's doing this stupid thing where she's giving these tips." But then they
Yeah, I
listen to
mean,
it and be like, "Oh, she's making fun of it."
yeah, there was one video I did even before quarantine. I went to LA and put on Lululemons and just like put my butt around in public, and it's like my most viewed video, and I'm like,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, you got to be like, "Why are these people following me? Is it because I'm funny, or is it
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
I show my butt a lot?"
No, they're like, your butt is really hilarious.
And so you're going to kind of keep doing that. And are you figuring out, is there kind of a posting schedule that's most ripe for being shared? Are you noticing that, a butt video posted at noon is less popular than a butt video posted at 7 p.m.?
Oh my God, a butt video at 7 p.m. is going to go downhill. The rules in comedy, tragedy in time is your butt video at 7 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, should we be happy for you, or should we be worried that you're resorting to butt videos?
You should be happy for me.
Yeah, because it's getting your comedy out there, right?
Exactly. Put your butt in people's faces and the comedy will follow.
But really, that's probably true. You know what I'm saying? Like, if 90% of your videos are butt free, I mean, they're following you because you're funny.
Yeah, there has to be some funniness. There's got to be substance to the ass.
That's the title of this episode, Substance to the Ass. And what we're going to talk about briefly, real quick, is just dating, and just I wanted some of your thoughts on some. Usually I have the guest kind of propose a handful of topics, and then I'm like, well, this is super interesting. And one of it is rejection and compatibility and dating and societal expectations. Kind of, what are some of your thoughts about that? I'd love to kind of have a mentally healthy, perspective on these things.
Yeah, I mean, I have been working on my quick summary on those topics to cover in 2 minutes. So, I'm glad I was given this opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because there is substance to the ass. I want to hear the substance.
Yeah, you're about to get some substance. Well, I've been single for like a long time. So, rejection is my specialty.
On which end? You're doing the rejection, or is the ass getting rejected? I can't imagine that's true. You have a famous ass now,
It's a lovely two-way street of like getting rejected and doing the rejection and downloading dating apps and then a week later deleting them because I hate myself.
Because I would think that you're inundated, once you're fresh meat, you get inundated with all these fucking awful messages. Is that what makes you hate the whole process? But you said hating yourself.
Yeah, because I'm like, I'll download an app and then I'll swipe and then I think of a million other things I could be doing with my life.
Videos.
Like they say you can write King Lear in quarantine, but you can write King Lear when you're on Tinder. That's where that quote originated from.
Yeah, I think I only started hearing it, in the context of Tinder.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually the first time I heard of Shakespeare was when I got a dick pic.
And and also about like compatibility. And so when you're kind of staying on the app and you're actually going on some of these dates, what is the compatibility thing that you see?
Well,
what kind of issues are there?
It's become really clear to me what people want so a lot of guys, this happened during quarantine too, because I wasn't out and about. So I downloaded an app. And I try to stay off because I'm like, oh, I'm going to meet someone in person. It's going to be this romantic story. But during quarantine, I was like, you know what? I don't have standards. So I downloaded it. And you got people who, we're social distancing and they're still trying to invite you to their apartment.
Yeah.
And I've learned that the compatibility plays in when you try to suggest meeting halfway.
Yeah.
And then they start acting really weird about it. Like I had one guy that I suggested meeting halfway and he pretended that I didn't even ask the question. Continued the conversation as if I was still coming to his place.
You got ghosted on a question.
Yeah, exactly. My question was like, what happened? I thought this was going great. But yeah, and then the next day because we were supposed to meet up and I said, hey, I don't think this is the match. And that was it. I've become really good at just telling if someone wants one thing and that I don't want and calling it off and like not being afraid to like lose that connection.
Yeah.
Because, if someone's going to act that way on the first time we're meeting and hanging out, they should make that compromise. And if they can't even do that, then there's no way that it's going to go well down the line.
And what were you using, now that that's kind of a nice litmus test for compatibility now, what was the litmus test before coronavirus hit? where you were like, okay, I have a little test that I'm going to do, and that this guy totally failed. I know we're not compatible. Was there any kind of shorthand way to figure that out before coronavirus?
I don't really do tests. For me, it's just like, how obsessed with me are you?
And the more obsessed is obviously better, or can you be too obsessed with Defne Gencler?
I mean, there have been people who have been too obsessed, obviously. So we cut them loose.
And how do you figure that out? Like at what, because obsessed on day 5 is like, okay, this guy's appropriately obsessed, but if they're still talking about you, thinking about you every second of every day, 3 months in, it might be a little scary.
I mean, there's healthy obsession where you make someone feel good, and there's obsession where you make someone want to jump off a cliff. So,
And is that something they often tell you?
What?
Is that something they often tell you? Like somebody's like, Defne, I kind of want to jump off a bridge because I'm so into you. They don't typically tell you that. They just kind of jump, don't they?
That's actually a fantasy of mine, but thanks for. No, you have obsession where someone's possessive, and that's unhealthy.
Okay.
And then you have obsession where, you let me do my thing, but you also make me feel really good. And that's what we're looking for. When someone doesn't make me feel good or loved or appreciated, what's the point?
But also, I mean, I would think that it'd be difficult to be obsessed without being slightly possessive. And so, if it manifests its way into a healthy thing, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to miss you, but have a lot of fun. I mean, is it possible to be obsessed and have zero possessiveness, or at least feelings of slight possessiveness?
You can be obsessed from a distance.
Okay.
I mean, no, you can't, but just wishful thinking here.
Right.
Yeah, I think obsession, obviously I use that term lightly,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so
like love. If I say I love you, I'm like, but with a grain of salt, honey.
I love you now until I don't.
That's honestly how it should be.
Yeah, and I think, what are some of the like, as far as like exclusivity and dating those several people at once, like, how would that work out with somebody who's obsessive? Like, would that person still, like, you would still date several people, and he would almost have to like go date several people even though he's really into you? Or would you say, no, this guy, I'm going to date several people at once, but this guy is perfectly, like, he should not date anybody because otherwise he's not obsessive enough?
No, I can't date multiple people at once.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that it came to mind because we were talking about I love you till I don't. Like one person, I must think it was on the second date or something. I was like, well, she was like, well, am I your girlfriend? And I was like, sure, until you're not. Like, meaning like, I'm not going to go out and date, and we work together or something. So it's like, I'm not going to go date 5 other people because I don't typically date 5 people at once. And so, yeah, sure. And then of course it ended the very next date. So it's like, yeah, you can call me whatever the fuck you like. Like, that seems to make sense to me. Like,
yeah.
I would just like follow something until it's, got bad.
Honestly, the fact that I even find one person I can tolerate for more than an hour is like a huge sign for me. And the idea that I can find 5 people like that at once, I mean, that's like proving that God is real.
And well, I think, and I guess that gives me the question, which is, if you can't tolerate somebody for more than an hour, usually, what is it about Defne Gencler that has you so easily annoyed? What annoys you about people in the first, second, third date?
Boring people, dumb people. If you can't just riff a little bit, that's so awful.
I just love that you had
so many bad qualities I can list.
Yeah, you just had the list at the ready. I love that. Boring people, fucking stupid people. If you cannot riff, I mean, yeah. Just speaking off the top of my head, though.
Just get lost,
Yeah, it makes you think. Yeah, there's probably 10 other things, and so how do you know that somebody is boring, stupid, or can't riff? I mean, what are you're talking?
I think they're boring and stupid for me, and they might be exciting and like Einstein for someone else.
Yeah, because I mean, when your butt videos go viral and you're hanging out in Amsterdam, I can't believe that. I mean, most people would be pretty boring compared to you, right?
I mean, I like to stay humble, you know?
And so and so I guess that, you said that you've kind of been single for a while. And so I suppose the one reason for that is that just everybody's kind of boring by comparison.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why they reject me, because they're just like, you're so exciting and cool.
But I mean, the other way around, though, meaning like you reject them because they're too boring.
Sometimes, but you know what? If I have sex with a guy, then I'll like find something in him that I like because I've had sex with him. So that's why I usually I try not to have sex with too many people, but that only goes so far. But yeah, it's crazy how like as a woman, like at least for me, I get emotionally attached. So even if the guy is boring and dumb, I'll still want it to work out. And then after it ends, I'm like, well, he was boring and dumb.
And what are some of the societal expectations that make its way into kind of your dating perspective? I mean, are you, in your Amsterdam culture, are you supposed to kind of be married and have 15 kids by now?
I think it goes 50-50. There's a lot of people who have had kids and have long-term partners. And then there's a few who don't have kids and a couple single people. But I think it's definitely interesting to see that I'm definitely not near that right now. But everything could also change tomorrow. But there is a part of me that, imagined at 28, I would be not single and whatever, because my mom had me at 29.
Oh, okay.
So that the thought that I'm going to be her age and potentially be single is something I'm definitely trying to come to terms with. And I think we've had this idea that like life ends when you're 30.
Daphne's talking to a 40-year-old right now.
You're 40?
Yeah, 41.
Well, and I'm realizing that life does not end when you're 30. I think now you're 20s. Like, you're still alive, Brian.
I love this. You're going to go to your friends today and be like, I talked to a 40-year-old today. Yeah. Life doesn't end after 30 or even 40.
I think I really needed this call.
Yeah. And then is any of this stuff going to make its way into your front-facing videos that are going to be shared widely above your ass?
Yes, one of my videos is surviving the quarantine when you're single.
Okay.
And I go into it in that video. And I definitely think the idea of, saying goodbyes to people or things or whatever, moving on to new chapters of your life, I have an idea for another video that I'm going to do that incorporates that a little bit. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make its way into my work.
And then if you
end up
your oeuvre, which means egg.
Yes.
I got that from
my
Melanie.
oeuvres are dying.
And I suppose that what's the comedy scene going to be out there in Amsterdam if you stay?
So there's a bit of a stand-up scene apparently.
Okay.
And
English.
I saw picture. Yeah, English speaking comedy, and that looked cool. There's improv here. There's this place called Boom Chicago. And
because it's improv.
Myers started there.
Really?
Yeah.
In Amsterdam.
Yes.
Because he was actually from Chicagoland, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least he went to Northwestern with my sister, and so yeah, I'm from there, and I guess improv is pretty big in Chicago. Did it once, I hated it, but like as a comic, like one thing I liked about doing stand-up compared to improv is that the act was completely yours, it was under your control, and improv was just so acting without a net. I mean, are you going to be good at improv? Do you have any control issues?
I took improv classes at that place I was just mentioning.
Oh.
And it was really fun. I don't know if I'll do improv because I think I have gotten used to all the control in stand-up.
Yeah.
But I know people who work there and they're super nice, so I think I'll hang out with them and see what's going on. So yeah, that's I think the plan for now.
Good. And I think you're probably going to meet the guy in Amsterdam.
Which guy? The not dumb?
The not dumb, not stupid guy who can riff. I think you're going to meet, you're going to find the right guy out there, and you're going to be able to tolerate him for an hour.
Yes. Otherwise, I'll put him in the canal.
Or you're going to have sex with him and then immediately be like, I got to make this dumb guy work because I just had sex with him.
This is it.
And so online, are you Gencler, which is Gencler?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people can find all your hilarious front-facing videos right there.
Yeah, they can find them at my Instagram and my Twitter, which is at OMG. It's Def, DEF.
Yes, yes, I remember that one. That's pretty memorable.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
and just so you know, guys, if you follow her there is substance to the ass.
That's going to be the name of my special.
Oh, dude, that is so perfect. I can't wait. Daphne Genschler, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. This was awesome.